Thank you very much, Katie. All right, so they gave me a little bit of time to break this all down for you. We're going to talk about where the storm is now, where it's going, and how it's going to impact us. Prepare. Don't panic. That's the big thing we always like to say here. 80-mile-per-hour winds right now is in this storm. It has strengthened a bit from this morning. We expect that. Expect it to continue to strengthen. In fact, moving off towards the north, becoming a major hurricane as it nears Cuba, actually passing just off the west coast of Cuba, then eventually reemerging in the Gulf of Mexico. There are very warm sea surface temperatures out here into the high 80s. That is going to allow for this storm to continue to intensify, peaking at that Cat 4 intensity, winds over 150 miles per hour possible, and then eventually getting closer to the Florida coast by Wednesday afternoon through the evening, and then eventually influencing our weather Wednesday night throughout the day on Thursday. Hurricane Hunters just flew around out there. They found 83-mile-per-hour winds, so that just shows this storm continuing to strengthen. Pressure down to 979 millibars is what they found there. So yeah, I mean, that's even deeper and stronger than what we got at the 11 o'clock advisory. So expect this to intensify a bit more as we go ahead to the 2 o'clock advisory. And further towards the north, you can see a little bit closer where this is going to cross over Cuba, and then eventually just towards the west of Tampa. Now, I say this not with a light heart. I'm not trying to hype, but if this does take this specific track, this is going to be bad news for the Tampa area. The right side of the storm, the bad side, this is going to push water out ahead of it and funnel into Tampa Bay right there, which means not only destructive winds, but they could be looking at a very serious storm surge for our friends there on the other side of Florida. So, you know, already hurricane watches are in place as this storm heads off in that direction. How about closer to home, though? Okay, that's what's going to go on the west coast. Very serious situation. For us, Wednesday night, throughout the day on Thursday into Friday. Highest wind gusts here on the first coast. Likely gusts, 60-65 mile per hour winds. 40 miles per hour sustained will shut down the bridges. I do think there's a period Thursday morning we could get that high if things set up right here. Highest threat, though, is going to be the rain. It's not so much the wind, it's going to be the rain. 6 to 12 inches is possible here. Combined with high tide, combined with this onshore flow, is going to create that threat of flooding, not only for our immediate coastal areas, but even inland because of that continued precipitation. You see what's happening is we got this front coming in from the north. It's going to almost squish this. Dry air will wrap around it, but what's going to see right here is that training or this banding that will be setting up, feeding across and into Ian, which is going to be impacting the west coast at that time. So even though the center line is towards our west, Wednesday night and throughout the day here, you see this is at Thursday at 4 o'clock. We're going to have those beater bands going into this, combined with that front, creating gusty conditions and continued rainfall. Eventually, by Friday night into Saturday, the dry air will wrap around it, improving our conditions. But this is Wednesday evening through Thursday, those high winds there on the East Coast as well. So boy, plenty to talk about here with this storm system. I'll be back in just a minute. We're going to take a closer look at that inner core because microwave imagery, we can actually see the eye wall developing. I'll show you in just a bit here, Katie.